everyone, it's Sharonda from Payroll Waits, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new Netflix series Shadow and Bone, which is currently streaming on the Netflix platform. This series stars Jessie-Mei Lee, Ben Barnes, Archie Renal, as this is actually based on the novel Shadow and Bones. This is a part of a whole series of books, prequel books, for those of you who are not aware, written by Leigh Bardugo, but this time around, this series centers around the dark forces that conspire against orphan mapmaker Alina Starkov when she unleashes an extraordinary power that could change the fate of her war-torn world. So for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome, hello, so glad you came, I hope you stay. I tell you what I enjoyed about the series, what I didn't like about the series, and is it worth your time binging or not on Netflix? So going into what I enjoyed about Shadow and Bones, for those of you who do not know me, I love me some YA material. That's young adult, because someone asked me that in the previous video. I love young adult material. I love fantasy material, especially when we're dealing with magic, okay, in this world. And it's really the world building that drew me in. This fantasy type of series that deals with magic with different levels of Grisha. Who can be heart renderers, they can use fire, wind, all of these magical powers that people are gifted. Only a select few are actually gifted these powers, but also to this world building of this war-torn world due to the Fold, as we get to really discover some of the dark forces that lie within, but also to the dark forces that brought the Dark Fold about to this world. It made me want to learn more about it. It even got me to start reading the books as well. I started reading the first book so I could just be like everyone else who says they read the books, had great recommendations about it for those of you who are on the fence about buying the books. But it made me want to be more immersed into it. But also too, I truly feel as though this series only works if you have the right Alina Starkov. And Jessie-Mei Lee, she does a fantastic job. I love that Alina is a reluctant hero. Not only that is she a woman, but she's very reluctant to want to protect everyone, but she does what's best for the people around her. And she has a really great heart. And I think that you truly see that from Jessie's performance. I think she's absolutely fantastic in this role. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you, Alina got on my nerves a couple of times, but that's a part of her being a reluctant hero. But a couple of times I was just like, Alina, what are you doing, sis? Like, this is not the way. You can't be, you know, this isn't the right decision. But I think that Jessie does a fantastic job of playing her, but also to making you invested in her character as well. Now, let me talk about Ben Barnes, okay, who plays General Kerrigan. He is such a great sparring partner with Jessie, which only speaks to Jessie even more, the fact that she's able to keep up with Ben Barnes, because him as the general, he is a very menacing yet charismatic character on screen who doesn't have to say much, just can give you a look or a glance, and you totally understand that when he walks into a room that he commands attention, that he is a force to be reckoned with. And that's before we actually get to see the power of what his character can actually do. I'm not gonna lie to you, there were times I was just like, I could just watch a whole series on the general. I'm just saying, I don't know about anyone else, but he was doing it for me. But I wish that I could see him in even more things. You may know him from being in Chronicles of Narnia, Young Sirius Black in the Harry Potter franchise, also too in The Punisher. He's just so good at everything that he does. He's so great on screen. I love him as this character in the series, and he's really one of the main parts that made me enjoy the series as a whole. But also too, even though those are our two main characters, even to what Archie as Mal is fine. I don't think Mal gets a ton of screen time. I think Mal will probably have more to do as we get into the other seasons of the show, as it addresses some of the other books. But really it's two side characters that work for me, and this really goes into also, I do want to give them kudos for the diversity in this series, but the diversity where it doesn't feel as though you were checking a box. And I think it's mainly not only with our main character with Jessie, but also too with Inej and Jesper, played by Kit Young, Armida Suman. They're absolutely fantastic. Now, even though I do have issues with their characters, and I will get into this with the cons of the series, as far as the pacing and trying to shove too many characters down our throats, but I actually, towards the end of the series, I cared about them. I was like, you know what? Y'all got on my nerves most of this series because you were keeping me away from figuring out what was happening with the Lena and the General. However, as we get towards the middle of the series into the last couple of episodes, I really became invested with these characters. I grew to love these characters, but also too, I wanted to learn more about their backstories, which lets you know that they got the buy-in for me with their performances. But even though I have a lot of things that I really do love about this series, especially just keeping you captivated from beginning to end, there are some issues with Shadow and Bone. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the slow burn. From a pacing standpoint, at times it's a slow burn in the beginning of the season. I'm sure if you've already watched it, the first couple of episodes, I was just like, okay, I want to know more, but I'm trying to figure out what is the purpose of the series. What is the point? Let's get into the nitty gritty. But once it actually does that, as we shift into this latter half of the season, this season is 8 episodes. They're about 45 minutes to an hour each episode. That's when it's just like, I'm hooked. Let's go. Let's finish this binge. But it's really... so in the beginning, it starts as a slow burn. Then it becomes a little bit too fast because there's so many characters in this series. And that has to do with the fact that they decided to really they tried to mesh the prequel books into the first book, which I was just like, y'all, that was absolutely too much. So the Six of Crows prequel and the first Shadow and Bone book, they're kind of mixed together. That's why we have so many characters that are happening on screen, to the point where I was just like, because I didn't care about most of the side characters for the first half of the series, I was just like, can we get back to Lena and the General? Because that's what I'm here for. That's what I was interested in. But the two biggest culprits of this, Nina and Matthias, when I tell you their characters don't mean nothing, I'm sure if they're introducing these characters to us, they might mean something in other seasons. But for this season, it was such a distraction when we had to cut back to them. Honestly, to the point when it was happening, because I was watching it and then I was just like, oh wait, I totally forgot about these people. We still got to focus on them. Can we get back to the main action that is happening? And you totally feel as though that you're watching two different shows at some points in times, especially when we focus on Nina and Matthias in this season. But outside of that, I had a great time watching Shadow and Bone. You know, I love me to find a new world to care about with the fantasy aspect of Shadow and Bone, learning more about the Grisha, and really becoming invested in our main characters. But I would tell you guys to do with you and your time. This is definitely worth the binge. If you haven't watched yet, tomorrow, hit play. I'm telling you, your entire day, you're going to watch this entire series from beginning to end, because it is absolutely that good. And I need the people at Netflix to hear me right now. If you do not renew this show for a season 2, a season 3, if you can renew Bridgerton for 11 million seasons, okay, then you can renew Shadow and Bone. So I just want to let that, I don't know who needed to hear that at Netflix, who was making decisions on renewals, but I just wanted to leave that on your heart so you can make the right decision, okay? But those are my thoughts on Shadow and Bone. As always, my name is Sharonda from Pay or Wait, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000, and until I see you again,